Hello, welcome back to the Armchair Pundits. We are reviewing the World Cup final. Spain winning 1-0 against Argentina with a goal from Ferran Torres in extra time. A brilliant strike, left footed into the roof of the net. Argentina ruin, I guess, a red card for Enzo Fernández, stupidly trying to remonstrate with the referee and has ended up getting sent off for a second yellow card. Gents, many would say Spain probably deserved to win. They had most of the ball, and Argentina spent most of the match trying to kick lumps out of them. So, Bev, what do you think of the match? What's your take?
It was like a tactical affair. It's like a attack versus defense, really. Um, and for large parts of it, Argentina weathered the storm. It looked like Spain didn't really have their shooting boots on, though. If I'm honest, it was like fine margins between where they score and where they don't. And as you said, Argentina just came to be difficult to beat. They just kicking lumps out of players, a lot of tactical fouls. I think they couldn't go toe to toe with Spain, so they did the next best thing, which is just be ugly.
Listen, they're atrocious, bro. There's no other way to put it. Like, how can you go 90 minutes, 115 minutes even, without a shot on goal? Not a shot on target, a shot on goal. Their first shot on goal didn't come until 117 minutes when Messi took a shot. And then the second shot was 120 minutes when Simeone had a shot. Like, we all respected what Argentina done over the years. They've been unbeaten for however long. But I don't know if it was inferiority complex. That's not the right word, but anyway. but it just didn't look good at all. It was nonsense. Like, you've seen them play. We've seen them play well. We've seen them against England and try and rough up and do what they need to do. But sometimes you think to yourself, okay, we know Messi's the greatest, but can someone else step up? Can you not just we just do everything for Messi today? Can someone else have an idea to be creative? Did he make the right subs? Should a Nico Paz have come on so that you got another creative fulcrum in the team? I don't know. It's like Scaloni hasn't got much wrong over the years, but in the final he got it wrong completely. He
I don't
got
know
it
if
wrong.
they've got. I don't know if they've got the personnel for it though. I don't think there's.
They
there's Go on.
gone.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say they've got some personnel to do it though, Bev.
Yeah.
Like Nico Paz would have been the perfect guy to bring on to add something different to them. And they brought on Simeone, which it seems like they brought him on for a bit of legs and pace. They didn't bring
Mhm.
Lautaro on, which I was surprised because he's been the guy who's managed to get a chance in extra time in a couple of games, and he's proved to be the difference. But yeah, as you said, James, the over reliance on Messi has caused them. Obviously, it's got them this far, so why change a winning formula? But in terms of the substitutions that he made, and obviously the injury that early on to Lissandro Martinez probably didn't help in what
And
he may have
Romero.
planned to do,
Romero
and
got
then
injured as well,
Enzo
didn't
getting
he?
a red card also would have affected that. But it just felt like they really didn't believe that they could win this match in a fair way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have needed to resort to doing what they were doing, trying to goad Spain into getting cards, trying to kick them to get a reaction, all of those sort of things. And you see how many times the Argentine bench just kept reacting, overreacting to little things that Spain did, in contrast to what they were doing, which was a lot worse in most instances. And the way they were playing aggressively was always with an intent to make Spain feel like they were going to get clattered. And you've seen it a good couple of times, and you see how Enzo ends up getting his second yellow. Like, what was he doing? Thinking that he can just rush in, and because the way of Kubasi's fallen over, obviously it looks a lot worse. But he
Yeah.
doesn't try to stop when Kubasi clearly is going to win the ball first. He looks at
Mm.
Kubasi and basically ensures that there's contact rather than just trying to get out of the way.
He
But
probably
where
thought
it's
he could get
stupid,
away with it though, because
yeah,
they were getting away with a lot of
yeah,
niggly, nasty fouls throughout not
there it
just this
is.
game, throughout the whole tournament. it's been their way, and I think that, like we've said in previous games, that if the problem is that they don't have any pace, and pace is what Spain do have, on the wings, whether it's going to be Cucurella or it's going to be um, Lamine, or if they bring on Nico Williams, especially against tired legs, it's just going to cause so many problems. And that isn't what Argentina have. And with Messi on the pitch, other players have got to do is running for him. He can come alive, but then if he's marked out of the game and they don't give him the time and the space to do anything, then it's nothing. Nothing's going to work. And if he's only getting the ball in his own half, he's not going to be able to run the length of the pitch. He's not going to be able to dribble past 3-4 players. He's not that Messi anymore. And they didn't allow him the same respect that other teams allowed him in previous games. And they said, no, you're not gonna get through us. We are a well-drilled outfit, and we're difficult to break down, because as soon as Spain lose the ball, they all get back into a line to defend. They don't just defend from the back; they defend from the front. You've got Yefabal trying to win the ball back high up the pitch. Dani Olmo's trying to win the ball back. So the way that they are set up and the way they are is to be very good defensively, but also they can pass you to death if they need to as well.
Yeah, 100%. And their record isn't nothing to be sniffed at. End of the day, they conceded 1 goal in the whole tournament. Yeah, and that was against Belgium.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. He's broken records. I think 7 clean sheets in the World Cup is the first. Obviously, this World Cup happens to have 1 more game. So it's a bit skewed, but it's still an amazing feat. Even if it didn't have 1 more game, it would be 6. So it'll still be the joint record. And you're gone.
I was saying, did any team lay a glove on Spain?
No.
Belgium was really the only team that came close, and even then, they were dominated after they scored. So
Yeah.
no one did. We expected France to put up more of a fight. We already spoke about that before, that they never turned up. But honestly, like the way that they set themselves up, the fact that they defend well by keeping the ball. They keep the ball away from the opposition, and you can see literally Argentina only had a couple of chances right at the very end of extra time, and that's the only time that Spain actually sat in a little bit, because they were like, we're almost there. There's only a couple of minutes left, and Argentina just threw the kitchen sink at them. But even at those moments, Spain had chances to counterattack. And you saw what Nico Williams tried to do, but I think someone said it in a TikTok live. He must have glitched, because I don't know what kind of skill he was trying to do. He literally just needed to square the ball across the goal. And in that moment, it doesn't make no sense why he's done that. So it is what it is. Spain got the deserved win, and you'd have to say, even if you don't feel like they are entertaining to watch from a pure drama perspective, that the way that they play is deep rooted in their culture. They keep the ball well. They're technically gifted. They pass and move. They work hard for each other. But people also forget how much they press teams. When they do lose the ball, which obviously doesn't happen that often, they go to win it quick, and they put the opposition players under pressure to get rid of the ball quick. And even today, you saw how many times Argentina end up giving the ball away just because they had to do everything so quickly. And these Argentine players, they do know how to play football. They do have technique, but because of the way that they play, their strategy their strategy in terms of creating is all goes through Messi, really. So that's where you're basically, if you don't have anyone else to do anything, you're going to be stuck, and that's kind of what's led them to come unstuck in this tournament. They've been reliant on Messi, but also doing the work that he doesn't do off the ball. So
you called it early on in the tournament, where you said about them not having Di Maria and the outlet that Di Maria gave them.
Yeah.
So that is something that is not to be sniffed at, because when you look at their midfield, it's like they got Messi, and then they might have like a wide midfielder, not really a winger, not really pace. And then you look at the difference between, as I said, you look at Spain with a Yamal who can who has got the pace, and he can still play in the tiki-taka way that Spain need to. He can still help them keep the ball. He's well drilled in like Barcelona style of football, but also this a Spanish culture of football as well. But then has a bit of magic to beat a player, because on his side there were times where I can't even say his name. I'm not even going to butcher it.
Taliafico.
There you go. Thanks, Leon. Yeah, thanks very much. Where he had the beating of him, and the only thing that Taliafico could do was kick him.
Yeah,
it was rough him up, and he did, and like I know it's diabolical, but if they actually tried to play football with Spain, it would have been 3 or 4-0. They would have just got obliterated. And then they would have ended up with oh well, I mean they did get 2 players sent off, but you know it would have been there would have been 2 players sent off quicker than they were.
Yeah. On that point, there's a comment in the comments there. Do you think Argentina should have had 10 men from the first half? Would have made a difference to the result?
If they had 10 men from the first half?
Yeah.
I think it would have made a big difference. I'm not sure there would have been a need for them to get their man sent off in the first half. But I do think
Paredes was playing. Paredes got a yellow card. Well, he came in the second half, to be fair.
He came, they didn't have any.
In the second half.
Because what's his name? The Butcher, he got booked in the first half and then came off.
Yeah, Martinez did,
Yeah. So,
no, they probably shouldn't have had 10 men in the first half.
No. Maybe
I think it's just accumulation of yellows they probably should have had. I mean,
but
how many did they have in the end?
They didn't have any yellows enough. They only had one yellow card in the first half.
Yeah.
And there was some fact like Mondial should have had a card, but I think that was after like a couple of minutes when he's pulled back. I don't know, Baena on the halfway line, and he's beaten, but he just grabbed a handful of shirt. Like the way that they commit fouls needs to be studied, man.
Yeah, bro. But like I said earlier, it's almost like before the World Cup starts, the referees have a meeting, and it's like, you know what? We know how the Argentinians play. We know their style of play. It's aggressive. They commit a lot of fouls. They do a lot of chopping. Are we really going to let them? Are we going to card them every single time? Are we going to do that? Because otherwise, if we do that, we will not have 11 players on the pitch for long. And it almost feels like they just give them the leniency because they know it's in their game. I don't think that's right, because it just breaks up play and makes some of the games look really ugly. But it's just the way it is for them. But I wonder if that, it sounds silly, but I wonder if that's in the conversations. Don't card them too early.
I'm sure the referee would have been given a remit to try not to be too strict on certain things, because you want there to be some kind of flow in the game. But Argentina weren't really on that. And let's be honest, as much as a lot of us probably would have said we'd rather Spain to win, but I think if you look on the balance of how things have gone down for Argentina during the tournament, had they have won the game, I don't think they would have escaped the allegations that this World Cup was fixed, because everyone was feeling that way with some of the decisions that they had either got away with or were given for them. So I think it just in a way did a little bit of justice there, because Spain have won by trying to play football in the right way, and they've, even though it wasn't an entertaining game, I think the right team has ended up winning because they played football in the right way to win the game in comparison to the way Argentina approached the game.
Yeah, listen, in the comments again, EDA Talk Sports said, I think the amount of decisions that went the way of Argentina the whole tournament was a disgrace. Refs have been blind to the whole tournament. Is it incompetence or is it a coincidence? That's a fair comment.
It is a fair comment, but it's not. I don't think it's just Argentina. I think it's the South American way of playing football, because Paraguay did the same thing against France, and they didn't get a card, not one.
Yeah, for the whole game.
And they were nasty. Yeah. They were foul. So
they were punching players in the face.
Yeah, I think that like maybe it is a case that they might give them a bit of leniency because that is the way that they play football. It is like if you watch Copa America, it isn't the
Yeah.
same as watching. It's not the same as watching like
Watching
a Euros. Not at
Yeah.
all. Like referees let stuff go, and I think that like where in the past you've had teams like Brazil that had that kind of samba way of playing football, then the other teams are not going to necessarily play football in the same way. It's like, how can we stop this and it be like Messi? How can we rough this up? Hurt players, take away their advantages, and by fouling players, you don't. It's not necessarily just injuring them, but you also there's a psychological effect that you get into their heads.
Yeah.
And they're gonna think that every time I'm gonna come, yeah, and then you also make them a bit afraid to actually play football. So I don't know if it's incompetence or if it's a case of that they just are allowed to get away with certain types of fouls. It's a similar kind of. It happens a lot when we look in like the Champions League and things like that, where English teams are not as street smart as other teams with the way that they play football and things like that. And they might not get away with certain fouls, but they would, and they might not get away with certain fouls against them because it might be seen as being a bit more robust. So I think it's just sometimes your reputation precedes you, and it could go against you or go for you.
It wasn't even just in the game. Even after the game, Paredes, like putting Eric Garcia in a chokehold and then grabbing that Gavi on the floor. Like he lost control. Like the question was, should there have been down to a red card in the first half? I think they're referring to McAllister's studs up challenge. But Paredes, realistically, he was lucky to see the end of the 120 minutes. And it's like he doesn't want to play the next game because, as I mentioned, the chokehold and the grabbing. I just wonder if they get too pumped up because it's let's win this for Messi. Let's do this for Messi. They get so hyped that they lose any kind of thought of clarity of we actually can play football. We're all at top clubs in Europe. Some of them have gone back to South America, but a lot of us are at top clubs in Europe, and we can actually play football on the ground. Like we're elite. But it just seems like the will to win for Messi takes that away from them, and they just become cannibals almost, and it's out for blood.
Yeah, but again, I think that like sometimes it might be just the style, man. Like that passion is spilled out. Like it's difficult to have that level of passion and contain it, and play so nasty, and then get off the pitch and say, "I've kicked this guy up in the air for the last 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to shake his hand afterwards." When he's going to give it back.
They do it in club games. They do it in club games all the time.
But even in club games, sometimes they still
go over the top.
Yeah, in club games they still go over the top. Especially like when we look at it from like a European standpoint, it usually goes that way. So that what he's done is it any different to where in the semi-final where Judas slapped a guy in the back of the head? Well, it is different. I'm not saying it's not.
It is because I think the difference was of that one was the two incidents. It's not what Jude did was wrong, but when they scored, he ran up to he didn't run to celebrate. He ran to the players, the England players, and ran in front of them celebrating. Then at the end, he forgot that Jude speaks Spanish, according to Jude, and he said something in Spanish to Jude, which is why Jude slapped him back of his head. Some of these guys forget. So I hear what you're saying, but it's not as aggressive. Like Jude taps him back, a little tap in the back of the head. Is like, you realize I speak Spanish, right? Rather than choke holding someone, and then next person comes and hold you on the floor.
What I'm saying is I'm not trying to compare Jude to one to the other. What I'm saying is that Paredes has been kicking players up in the air. Then after the game, you can imagine if you've been getting kicked you've won the World Cup, you might say something to him. I know that. Yeah, and then he's lost it.
Yeah, you won it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, you're gonna say something, and then you've won it. But one thing I was a bit disappointed today though is Messi trying to get Cucurella sent off. That was
yeah, that was nasty work.
That was foul, man.
I think it was even funnier seeing Cucurella apologize. It's like, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. That was so funny.
The question is,
this.
that's the thing. The question is, did he say something untoward, or did he say something just like that? Obviously, you didn't want the camera to pick up, because it all depends, right? In the context, they're saying that it has to be in a confrontational manner. Was he saying something in confrontational, or was he just covering his mouth? We don't know. But I'm not surprised that Messi would have said something. Like, he's not exempt from certain behavior either. Let's be honest.
I can't lie. If Cucurella got sent off, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. As you guys know, I'm not his biggest fan. His antics jar me to the 10th degree, not even the 9th or the 10th degree. So no, I'm happy they saw sense, because even when he was doing it, it was almost smiling. It was almost smiling, like joking with him. So it was a bit naughty, and as I said in the comments, it was desperation. It was desperation. Yeah. So listen, credit to Spain.
Yeah,
Spain deserve all the credit, because there was a masterclass of how to keep the ball. It was a masterclass of how to play their style of football. And it almost surprised me if they do what the previous Spanish team did and go European Championships, World Cup European Championships. It wouldn't surprise me.
Did you? Apparently, Scaloni in his post-match says, "We did everything we could. Spain were extraordinary. Football does not always reward the hard-working team. Were they the hard-working team in this?"
Well, listen, it's hard work being a bully, isn't it? the bully's job ain't easy. You still got a rough man up. That's crazy. You go see it, but they're always going to see it from that. They're always going to say something like that, innit? Because they got to try and galvanize their team in some type of way. It's emotional. They've missed they've lost the World Cup. They lost it for Messi. Difficult.
Cool. Well, after the game, they handed out the awards for the player of the tournament, the young player of the tournament, and the player of the tournament has gone to Rodri. Obviously, we picked very, very, very different other options for player of the tournament compared to Rodri. Do we think Rodri deserved it? Obviously, he was the captain of the winning team, but did you feel like he did anything extraordinary to deserve it, or do you think it's been given just on the fact that he's been the captain of the winning team in this instance?
It's exactly that. That's right. In honesty, yes, France went in there, but did Rodri have a better tournament than Mbappe? Not for my liking. I don't think he had a better tournament than Mbappe. And Mbappe isn't in the question because he wasn't in the final. So it would have been either an Argentinian or a Spanish player that won it. But when you look at it, Rodri was okay. He was just okay. I think I said it on our live. The Spain team was the sum of all its parts. That's what it was. No one stood out. Listen, give it to Unai Simon. He's broken records. He conceded one goal in the whole tournament. If they'd given it to him, it would have been crazy. But
they're probably not giving it to him because how many saves he had to make?
Yeah, he had nothing to do.
He didn't have nothing to do. So
there was a time. There was a time when players didn't have to win the World Cup to get player of the tournament.
Didn't have to be in the
but he was in the final. But he was in the final though.
He was in the final, yeah. Same with Oliver Kahn. He won the World Cup without he won it without winning the World Cup. I'm sure he made a mistake in the final as well. Still got player of the tournament.
Yeah. So Kubasi winning young player. I think that was right.
I think that's deserved.
Yeah,
he's looked brilliant. Yeah. He's been brilliant at the back. Him and Laporte, who we obviously know from City days, but Kubasi, you know, all of the script writers would have wanted Yamal, but he came into the tournament injured, and that's ultimately what's led to him not really being at his best. But you can see that he was always the person that Spain looked to cause a problem. But because of the way that they play, you've seen how Olmo, Ferran Torres, Oyafabal, how much of a contribution they make just from clever runs, little flicks, and you know, you would have to say that because of the consistency that Kubasi had played throughout the tournament, it really is difficult to argue against that. I mean, if you look at our picks, we went with Golden Ball. I think Lamont went with Bruno. Bevan and James, you both went with Mbappe.
Yeah.
And I went with Yamal. So none of us were even close, really. Mbappe obviously was in for a shout because he's ended up with the top goal scorer award or the golden boot. He's now the clear record top goal scorer in World Cup history. He's now surpassed Messi. I think we did ask the question if we thought he would be able to do it within this tournament, and at first we were thinking maybe not, but
I said no.
He's ended up doing it through playing in the third place playoff. As much as people want to say should it be counted, if it's a game that he has to play, then it's got to be counted. If they've had the third place playoff since forever, yes, could they cancel it? Because if you lose in the semi-final, do you really want to play this game? But to me, it's a legit game. So
yeah, it is a legit game, and I think they should still count those goals, because then you get something like this. Because sometimes, like even with the Euros, when they don't have the third and fourth playoff, I feel like football's over now. That's about it. It's just the final.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes I'm not looking forward to watching the game, I think it's a part of the whole World Cup spectacle, isn't it?
Yeah. So as much as we want to say that it was, is it worth playing? There was enough people watching the game out. I was driving home yesterday and I saw enough people at the pub watching the game. So
as much England, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. But that's the point, though, James.
I mean, how many people who weren't English tuned in is different, I guess.
It doesn't matter. They filled the stadium up. That's what FIFA care about. They sold tickets.
Yeah, true.
So true. And regardless of the fact that, if it was other teams, I don't remember watching Turkey versus South Korea in 2002. I didn't watch Germany versus Portugal when they were in the semi-final.
I watched them all.
I rarely ever watch the third and fourth place playoff, but yesterday's game was pretty much a barnstormer. No one defended. It was literally attack versus attack. England going 4-0 up at half-time. France looking like they might mount a major comeback because they got it back to 4-3?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
What's Konate's fault, bro? How you going to have the interview, the press conference, and say, we don't want to be here. We don't want to play the third and fourth playoff. That mindset was really bedded in, bro. It was bedded in that they don't want to be there. I know he might have been trying to say we don't want to be there because we want to be in the final, but you've come out and said we don't want to play this game, and it looked like he didn't want to play the game to the point where he had to get subbed at half time. And I think at half time, Deschamps must have ripped into them and was like, you know what? This is my last game, and this is how you guys are doing me, yeah. This is how you guys are seeing me out 4-0 at half time, past the pad syndrome. That's past the pad time, bro. So he made those 4 subs, and I think as soon as he made those 4 subs, I think I said in the group that this game's probably going to end up 4-4. I could just see it. And when they scored the first goal, you knew the second and the third was coming. Like England was like they were like a deer in headlights. They didn't know what had hit them.
I think,
and it was a case of could they hang on?
I think when you have a first half so bad, and so from a France point of view that is so bad, and from an England point of view that is so easy, then you're gonna come out in the second half. And you might think all France had to do was step it up like 1 or 2 notches to be able to cause that many problems. And like first half, France were just shocking in defense. That high line was ridiculous. It was too easy. I thought, like, I was watching England play and I'm thinking, that game is like a game that your team plays after they can't win the league anymore, and then the next game they go out and smash a team, and the other team don't really care. And it looks good. It looks fantastic, but in reality, it's nothing. It's nothing really to write home about. Only thing I would say is a lot of the press are calling for Tuchel's head, but let's have it right. Tuchel is the second has had England's second after winning the World Cup in '66. This is England's most successful World Cup. and it might be disappointing for what he did in the semi-final. But I think that is something that England can learn from, and he's already said it's in the DNA. So something else has to change. But yeah,
I blame him on that though. Right, he says it's in the DNA. Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at the England under-21 tournament. It's not in the DNA because when you see how it's a different level. I'm not going to be silly and say it's the same level, but when you look at the level they were playing at, Curtis Jones and the Man United youngster, I forget his name now. The other one. No, he played in France for a little while.
Angel Gomez.
Yeah, Angel Gomez. The way they bopped the ball around and passed and moved. Wharton's there. He could have called out Wharton to help control games, help to pass the ball from deeper. He could have called out. He could have given Angel. I think he had Angel Gomez in the squad at the beginning because that's the kind of player that you need for those things. He went with a style of football, so you can't say it's the DNA. For me, he went to play a style of football, to play the Premier League way of football where it's fast, strength, pace, up and at them, and it didn't work out. Because when they needed people to actually slow it down, he had Rice and he had Anderson, who none of those two are good at doing that. They're fantastic players at what they do, but when it comes to, let's settle the game down, let's keep the ball moving, let's find that it's pass the ball between the lines, they can't do that. They can't do it consistently. Because I know Arsenal fans will tell me, "Oh, Rice does it for Arsenal. He doesn't do it consistently. He has the odd pass, but he doesn't do it consistently like Anderson would do. Even a Kobe Mainoo, he's not the greatest at it, but he's a different profile."
Nah, Kobe Mainoo knows how to keep.
Maybe not so much him. He's a ball runner, but you could have had an Angel Gomez in there just for. He doesn't even have to play loads of minutes. The game's going rough. You drop him in. People might say he's not good enough, maybe. But what I find funny is when you look at all these other countries and you see these players and you think they're not good, but when they play for their country, they understand what international football. It's a different skill set to Premier League football. It's a different speed. So those guys that you think aren't as good can probably do well for England.
But the problem is that because the Premier League is so blood and thunder, then you don't have a lot of the times where the ball's just being knocked about between players, one touch, quick passes, and the ball's doing most of the work. That blood and thunder type football can work during the months of September till March. When it gets hotter, it's going to become very difficult to play that style of football, and it's not going to be built for a Summer World Cup where the heat is crazy. Yeah, you might be able to get away with it against like a Mexico or a Norway, teams like that, but it's going to be difficult for you to get away with that against against better technicians. And I mean, yesterday England played very well against France, but France made it very easy for England to play against.
In the first half, they did.
Yeah. And as soon as France decided that we're going to play football, then they're going to play. Then it was very difficult for England to be able to recover. They had to go and bring on Jude to change things up, to have a bit more steel in midfield. But that type of player to pass the ball through the lines, to that number 10 was at home. He wasn't on the pitch. He wasn't there.
I think they're gonna have to incorporate. A lot of people don't rate Jones and those kind of players because of they hold on to the ball too much. Maybe this is the kind of game where you needed someone to hold on the ball for too long. You needed someone to take this thing out of the game. He had him in the squad. Granted, he had Jones in the squad early. Obviously, he didn't like what he saw, or he didn't play enough against Liverpool. But I think going forward, because it's been said in the chat, does anyone take the Nations League serious?
No.
The nation is already against him. He's going to have to make some changes, I think, for them to get better in tournament football. Because, listen, they got through the qualifiers. They didn't get to see the goal in the World Cup qualifiers. What's the point? So, for me, the next 2 years is to try and find players who can actually keep the ball. You're going to have Bellingham. Unless he gets injured, he's going to be there the next 2 years. but you need to find players that can actually handle the pressure on the ball, and you're gonna have to find those guys, and you have to use them because you can't go to the next Euros, which they're hosting, I believe, right?
Yes.
Which they're co-hosting. You can't go to the next Euros and have the same thing. Get to this stage, and then the toughest team you play against, like, bro, England had 12% possession in that after they scored.
Yeah, the last.
I know we've gone back a bit, but it was probably about the same in the France game. In the second half, it was probably about the same, and it got saved. It got saved by a penalty because
they also got saved because they had an out ball because they had Watkins on the pitch.
No, but Jed as well. Jed saved them. That run from Jed had a fantastic game. In fact, he had a fantastic last 3 games. After he got criticised, he stood up. I give him credit. After he got criticised because he kept being shouted at, he stood up. And then I think I said it in one of the games with Kane dropping back, playing DM, playing the 6. That they needed those guys. So Watkins kept coming on, helped them, and Jed, fantastic performance for me.
I think the players showed quite a heavy amount of immaturity in the way they manage the game. Because as much as we want to talk about culture, they've just resorted to, oh my God, we just need to hold this lead. But as we said before, we don't want to go back on it for too long. You can't do that against certain teams. And you've seen today, perfect example, when Spain went 1-0 up, they just kept the ball away from Argentina. Literally, they just kept passing the ball around. Argentina were tired, so they couldn't close down and put pressure in the same way. And had England have fought together, because let's be honest, Tuchel says in training they know how to keep the ball, but also it's different when you're pressing against your teammates against pressing against an opposition. You know, training can never replicate what happens in a match, but you can set scenarios up that allows them to be prepared for how to deal with certain situations. And they just literally reverted to part of the bus, and it was never going to work. So he's got to find out who his go-tos are going to be. Obviously, he's gone with a lot of surprise choices that a lot of people would have disagreed with, but ultimately they finished third. They've got their best ever finish, and even though you might say the draw was favourable, the run was favourable, like you can only play against who is put in front of you. And they've ended up losing to Argentina, and you've seen how Argentina have played in the final. Their method didn't work in the same way England trying to hold on to a 1-0 didn't work. So it is what it is.
I think if England had showed a bit more bravery, they would have got to the final. It's as simple as that. And they can blame Tuchel all they want. The players are on the pitch. I think Gerhi said it himself. The tactics, they sunk back. They stuck in too deep, and that's on them as well. They fumbled, and these aren't guys that are novices. Yes, European stage and international stage, is different. But these are guys that have won Champions Leagues. These are guys that have gone to the ends in the Premier League title races, that played in Champions League finals. So, listen, there's work to do for Tuchel. They won't sack him.
I think the problem is that when we talk about players getting to Champions League finals and playing in England and things like that,
who's the best players?
It's who are the technicians? Who are the guys that are pulling the strings? It's not really English guys, so it's going to be difficult for them to get into the world stage to do that. And when you do have players that do that in the teams, it's Wharton's. It's players like Adam Wharton, who some players don't really rate like that. Some fans don't really rate like that, should I say? Yeah?
Wharton needs to move. He needs to leave Crystal Palace if he wants to
prove.
Get back into the English squad. Yeah,
it says in the chat, like, why take you've got Henderson there? Why is he there for vibes? And I know his elder statements and statements like that, but that's a place that someone else could have been in that team.
It's a question. Steele was the fourth choice goalkeeper. He wasn't part of the squad, but he was there for training and there to help out. Should they have just done the same thing with Henderson? Because Henderson, in the end, because of his arm, he didn't play. Could Henderson have just been like a Steele? He still trained. He still did everything else did. He just wasn't one of the 26. It probably should have been.
It would make sense because where would you going to use him? Who else didn't actually get?
I think he would. I think he might have got. If he was fit, he might have got used. I think like I would imagine against Argentina, because of his leadership skills, if he didn't have a broken arm, he might have been brought on the pitch because he's someone that they respect. He might have been brought on the pitch.
But then I think you got other teams where they will play players that aren't as glamorous, or they're not as they're on merit, not on like past performances, or just because of team morale and things like that. There's a reason why they're going to play. So I think
that's my point on someone like Angel Gomez. You play them because they can be useful in a scenario.
I hear that. I think you'd have to see more of an Angel Gomez or a Curtis Jones throughout the season, and it's difficult. It's going to be difficult for a lot of these players now, because if Tuchel's saying that they've got to play for their teams, if not playing for their teams, then they're never going to play for England, are they?
That's why Jones wants to go to Inter, innit?
Yeah,
that's why he wants to go to Inter to get into the England tour. Tournament. Listen, what did you think of the tournament as a whole? It's come to the end. 48 teams. Was it a disaster with 48 teams as some people thought it was going to be?
No, I thought it was a good advert for the teams that had never been to the World Cup before. I thought most of the teams that qualified for the first time put up a real good show of themselves and made their countries proud. I think Curacao, Cape Verde, DR Congo have qualified before Zaire, but no, there's Jordan also. Like they put a good account of themselves, and anyone that would have said, is it worth these teams being there? You don't know the opportunities that may come from some of those players, and whether those associations, if they're running the right way, use the money that they've got to put back into their country's grassroots. I think it is important. As much as I didn't like the Americanization of the tournament, I feel like the 48 teams is something they should stick to. They definitely shouldn't increase it anymore. I still think 48 is a lot.
Infantino is really talking about increasing it.
Yeah, I think 48 is the absolute limit. I don't really think they should extend it any more than it is already. But I do feel like the way that they've allowed, or the way that the qualification has allowed some of these other teams to qualify has been good for the tournament, and it is important. And you've seen that for the most part, everyone has been able to tune into a game, whether it's highlights or watching the game live. Like the highlights have been really good. 8 minutes for most of the matches, and it gives you enough for you to be able to know what's occurred. So yeah, don't add any more. But it's been a good tournament. We've all watched it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even looking forward to it that much. I was like, I'm not even really excited for the tournament, and I don't normally say that when it comes to summer tournaments, but yeah, at the end I can say it was decent. It wasn't the most exciting across the board, but there were a lot of dramatic moments for me.
No, I agree with you. I think if they increase it, it just means that like World Cup qualifiers are going to be a waste of time, because it's going to be the same stronger nations that are going to get through every single time. And well, it might mean that Italy gets to qualify for a World Cup, and I was almost going to say Nigeria too, but I wasn't.
And Jamaica.
I mean,
we've only been once, bro.
We've only been once, brother. It's unlikely, but
we'll be there. We'll be there in 4 years.
Yeah, but I think it has been good. And when it gets to the knockout stages, there's been a lot of interesting games that have happened, and there's been a lot of twists and turns throughout the whole tournament. So overall, it has been good, and there have been teams that have shocked me, and teams that haven't necessarily turned up.
Yeah,
which you would expect.
I enjoy watching football. I watch football non-stop, so I saw games that I didn't think I was even going to watch, like at crazy hours in the morning, getting silly hours of sleep. And some of those games are actually good games. So I'm always more football the better. There wasn't as many like completely dead games as I thought there was going to be. There was a couple that were like, okay, this game should not be one that you watch. And thankfully, I missed a couple of those games because they were at like 4 o'clock in the morning. But no, I enjoyed the World Cup. Some of the teams did surprise me. They were better than I thought. And it's just good to see some new players as well. to be honest with you. Like, it's guys that you may have seen in the Conference League or just snippets of us, to see them in 90 minutes and to see how good they are. It's the time to do it and time to see it. So I agree with you guys. I don't think it should be any bigger, but I get a sneaky feeling it might, because guess what? The next World Cup's not even going to be on three countries. It's going to be even more than 3 countries, right?
Yeah.
That hosted it from
three continents.
3 continents.
3 continents,
Exactly.
yeah.
So even 3.
Insane.
So, and I think 5 different countries potentially. So
Yeah, crazy.
I wouldn't surprise me if it's even more. But I think that if we get to that stage, I think it will be fully watered down. If it gets to that stage, so hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it stays no more than 48, and we get better officiating. Because I think one of the biggest problems of this World Cup was the officiating. There were so many things that were, really? You did that? How did you not do that? How did you not? There's so many of those instances. And whether it was the right or wrongs, whether it was corruption, whether it was this, whether it was to get a certain team through, we'll never know. But the game is better if it will be better if it just looks cleaner. If things look how they're supposed to look. If that's a foul, that's a foul. Like we said it earlier in the pod, how Paraguay get through that 107, 110 minutes without a yellow card, but France get 2, and one of the yellow cards was for wagging your finger in someone's face and the guy falling over. Like, and you get a yellow card. So, and then hopefully you won't have people like Trump rescinding or helping to not rescind but to suspend
overturn challenges,
suspend red cards. So I've been entertained. I'll say that much.
Cool. Well, that is the end of our World Cup 2026.
Oh wait, no, Leon, 1 second, brother.
What?
Gotta give you your flowers, bro. You picked the winner from the beginning.
Yeah, you did. Go through the full list of our predictions, bro.
Are you
through
sure?
the full list. Yeah.
What?
It'll take 2 minutes.
All right, cool. I'll quickly run through. So, our picks for the winner: Lamont was Portugal, Bevan and James were France. I picked Spain, so I will take credit for predicting the right winner. They didn't start great, but they progressively got better as the tournament went on, and that's what you want to do in a tournament. The runner-up or finalist predictions: Lamont picked Argentina. He was the only one that got the right team in the final. Bevan picked England. I picked France. James picked Brazil. The golden boot.
No, I picked France. I picked France to win. I picked France to win, right? Not England, but in the final. But yeah,
you picked France to win. I already said that. Yeah.
Sorry.
It was play England in the final. Yeah. We all 3 of us picked Mbappe to get golden boot. Jonathan David was Lamont's pick. Not sure why he was thinking that, but we move. Mbappe won it, 10 goals. Golden ball ended up going to Rodri, which none of us picked. Lamont picked Bruno, his favorite player. Bevan and James picked Mbappe, and I picked Yamal. Young player. Lamont and Bevan picked João Neves. I picked Desiree Doué, and James picked Diamande. It went to Kubasi. So fair play to Kubasi. No one saw that one coming. Golden Glove. Bevan and James both picked Unai Simon, and he duly obliged by only conceding 1 goal in the whole tournament. Myself and Lamont both picked Mike Mannion, which wouldn't have been such a bad pick until the 3rd place playoff. And then dark horses, Lamont was the USA, Bevan was Japan, I picked Colombia, James picked Senegal. And I think out of all those teams, I think USA and Colombia were the 2 to get the furthest out of those picks. So all in all, I think you guys got 2 predictions right. I got 2 predictions right. And Lamont, unfortunately, got 1 right, which was the finalist, and that was Argentina. So fair play. Gents, it's been a pleasure. 11 episodes. I don't even know how many matches it was in the end. I can't remember. It's too many.
I think 204, I think, something like that.
Crazy.
Was that for 104, isn't it? Is that games? 104?
something like that.
Something crazy.
Something like that. But 48 teams down to the winner. Spain are the champions. Argentina, the runners-up. Messi, 3 finals, only 1 win. Is he still the GOAT? To some, yes. To others, CR7 fans, probably not. But either way, the best team definitely won on a day. And you have to say Spain are deserving champions.
104. You're right. 104.
Good job. Good job, Bev. So yeah,
Oh,
that is it. Thank you to everyone who's been watching us over the last month or so. Please don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any comments on anything to do with the final or the tournament as a whole, please do let us know, and we will come back to you in our chats. Thank you once again. Until the next time.
Thanks for those in the comments as well. Thanks for those who are watching us on live for the first time. We appreciate you.
Definitely.
Peace.